Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone had a great week and I hope you're having an even better weekend. All right, we're going to get straight to today's show. The title is Make It Make Sense, and the topic is navigating the comma conundrum. All right, so we all understand that punctuation is necessary, okay? So especially when writing, but the most confusing, I believe, of all punctuation may just be the comma. So knowing when and not to use them, it has created more traffic jams, than the I-24 during rush hour, and that is equivalent to bad writing. All right. So, not everyone considers punctuation essential, not because they don't want to use it, but because it's murky, like mud, in most situations. Sure, we've learned the basics of punctuation early on, but unless you're an editor or an English teacher, the whole intent seems to get lost in translation. So, it's why run-on sentences sadly exist, and they are not grammatically correct, nor are they cute, all right? So you must learn the proper use of commas to keep your writing tight, all right? So my fellow writers, all right, I'm talking to you. It is so important to know the ins and the outs of punctuation, regardless of editing software or other means of making your writing make sense, okay? You should know the basics, at least enough to get you through a sentence or paragraph using the correct punctuation. And commas are so vital in that narrative, all right? So we know that punctuation, it is the unsung hero of language, because, it ensures that our words flow seamlessly, and we need that. The comma is so humble, and it often takes center stage among the myriad punctuation marks, and for good reason. But understanding when to deploy this tiny symbol, it can be trickier than it seems. So why? Well, because commas are unexpected and they are often so puzzling. And I know, they're just a small thing, but they hold a big space in writing. Okay, we need them. Okay, we need those commas. Probably more than we need periods. We need the comma. Okay, so commas are often regarded as the tricksters of punctuation. All right, because a lot of times you use commas, but you use them in the wrong way. You put them in the wrong spaces. They sort of remind me of Wile E. Coyote, if you guys are familiar with the Roadrunner cartoon. And we know how sneaky Wile E. Coyote was, but he was never clever enough to outfoil the Roadrunner. So thank goodness, we have a guide and a hero like the Roadrunner that thwarts disastrous mistakes. We need that. It is so necessary. And we also know that commas, they have sparked more linguistic chaos than poorly constructed sentences, okay? And it is so crucial to decipher the when and the where of their usage to prevent language gridlock. We don't need that. We don't want that. It's not cute. It does not look good. All right. So, case in point, the minutes of the run-ons, all right? So, let's just face it. Run-on sentences are neither grammatically correct nor are they endearing, all right? So what we have to do is master the art of commas because they are so paramount in pursuing concise and practical writing. All right, they act as, if you will, traffic signals. All right, so they guide your reader through the twists and turns of your prose, and that is so necessary. When you're reading something, if it is not accurately or correctly punctuated, you never really know. You don't get the full intent of what's happening in that story because it has not been punctuated correctly, and commas are essential in doing that. Okay, so they help us to know when to pause. We can think of them as a comma compass. All right. So they are so helpful when it comes to listing items. Like, they are so indispensable when listing those items. And just for instance, okay, I'm going to read this sentence to you. I need eggs, milk, and bread. All right. So if not for placing the comma before and after the eggs, it would probably sound like a chatty person who never takes a breath between words. So we know what that sounds like. All right. So another example is how they join independent clauses. So, when connecting independent clauses, we use a comma and a coordinating conjunction. All right. Like and, but, or are. So, if you grew up watching Saturday morning educational programming like I did, they were so instrumental in showing us how to use proper punctuation. For example, she loves to write but struggles with punctuation. All right. No pun intended. But we needed that. We needed those Saturday morning programs that helped us so very much, introducing us to all kinds of educational functions, and using proper punctuation was one of those big things. Okay, so another thing that the comma does is it has an introductory element. All right, so we know that commas they usher in those introductory elements like phrases or clauses. All right, we've already learned that. So I'm going to give you another example. In the morning, I enjoy a cup of coffee. So this is just another way of demonstrating why commas are essential, and there is a comma before the I, all right, to let you know that in the morning it's telling you who's speaking, because I is there immediately after the the comma. All right, so it could be she, he, whatever, but it's I. All right, and I definitely enjoy a good cup of coffee every single morning. All right. So now we know that commas are used for setting off non-essential information. So what that means basically is when you use a comma to set off those non-essential information, they are used within a sentence. All right, so like the book written by a renowned author captivated readers. Okay, so there's a comma after author and right before captivated. So it lets you know that, and there's also a comma after the book. All right. So we need those, we need those commas to set off those non-essential, to set off that non-essential information. All right. I hope I explained that well enough to where you can understand, exactly what I mean when I say that. All right. So we also know that the comma is like it helps us to understand the art of precision. We need that precision. I mean, you wouldn't go into surgery with a surgeon who does not have that skill. He does not own that skill set. It is not in his wheelhouse. We are not going to that surgeon, right? We want to go to the surgeon who has an art of precision, that knows what he's doing. Okay. When we're going underneath that knife, We want someone who knows what to cut, when to cut, how to cut. And commas are like that. Okay, it's like that surgeon in surgery, that precision, that art, that skill. They've mastered it. So, and that's what today's show is about, is helping you to master the skill of knowing when and where to use commas to help it make sense. All right. So, in the art of precision, avoiding comma splices and it creates precision in your writing, which requires diligence. Okay, you can't just write something and think that that's going to pass, because it's not. And to ensure that you are doing it correctly, you need to know when to place those commas, because a well-placed comma ensures your message is clear and impactful. Okay, we always want to impact the readers. We want to make sure that we put our best foot forward. We're always doing our best, when we're creating those stories, and not just telling a good story, but a good story sort of lacks if you don't have the correct punctuation. It takes away from the story, okay, from the full intent of what you're trying to get across to the reader if it's not punctuated correctly. And that is why we need commas so very much when we are writing. All right, so just keep that in mind, because it's necessary. It may sound unimportant, but we know that all punctuation is important. And now today we've learned that the comma is sometimes overlooked, because it is, but why it's so necessary and why it is so important when composing words. All right. So, in conclusion, we know that all punctuation, but commas most definitely are, they're like the intricate dance of all languages. All right. So when you master the comma, it is like it's akin to learning the steps of a graceful waltz. Okay. It's just so necessary. I mean, yes, you can dance, but when you think of a waltz, it is so precise and just so beautiful, and everything is just so detailed and in line. It's just so perfect. And that is like using commas in the right place. So let's embrace those nuances, and I guarantee that your writing will be elevated to new heights. All right. So, let's bid farewell to the chaos of run-on sentences, and let's welcome the clarity that a well-placed comma brings. All right. So your words will thank you for it. All right. And your readers, and you will have succeeded in making it make sense. All right. So that is our show for today. I hope that you have learned something useful in all of this. And I hope that you will apply it when writing, whether you're writing a book or whether you're in school and you're learning how to, to write papers and things of that nature. Just remember the comma and why they are so important. All right. And also why this show is so important. I try to stay stay in the loop of what's going on in the writing world, and punctuation is one thing that I find very important when writing, and so it's why I wanted to address that today. So hope I didn't bore you, but anyway, just like I always say, always tell those who you care about the most how you feel about them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only day you get to say it, the only chance you get to say it. So I love you. I hope you love me back. And remember to like, listen, and share. And until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.